He was rejected for his dream job, a failure that broke his heart. Yet that single moment of failure put him on a path to become a nation's lead scientist and its most beloved president. To hear more inspiring stories that make learning English easy and unforgettable, subscribe now and click the notification bell so you never miss our next video. Today, we have a very special story. It is the true story of a man who showed the world that it does not matter where you start in life. What matters is the size of your dreams and the strength of your heart. We are going to talk about Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, a man who began his life as a young boy selling newspapers and grew up to become the 11th President of India. He was more than just a president. He was a great scientist, a dedicated teacher, and a truly kind human being. He spent his whole life working to make his country India a better place. He did not become president for power or for money. He was chosen because people saw his honesty, his intelligence, and his deep love for everyone. He was a simple man with a brilliant mind, and he became an inspiration for millions of people. So find a comfortable place, relax, and listen closely. Let's begin the story of a man who taught us all how to dream. Our story starts on the 15th of October, 1931, in a small, quiet town called Rameswaram in the state of Tamil Nadu in southern India. This is where Avul Pakir Jainulabdin Abdul Kalam was born. His family did not have much money. You could say they were poor. But they were rich in other things like honesty and kindness, and everyone in their town knew them for it. His father, Jainulabdin, was a simple man. He owned a small boat and was also an imam, a respected religious leader at the local mosque. He was a very spiritual person who believed deeply in the power of hard work and living a disciplined life. His mother, Ashiyama, was a woman with a very big heart. She was so kind that she would often cook for and feed poor people in their neighborhood, even on days when her own family did not have much to eat. Kalam was the youngest child in the family. He had 4 older brothers and 1 older sister. Even though life was often a struggle and they faced many difficulties, his parents always taught their children the most important lessons. They taught them the value of being honest, the importance of being kind to others, and the need to show respect to everyone, no matter who they were. But life was not easy. Because his family was not wealthy, young Kalam understood from a very early age that he needed to work. He would wake up every morning long before the sun rose. While other children were still asleep in their warm beds, he was out in the cool morning air, helping his cousin sell newspapers. Can you imagine that a little boy, maybe only 10 years old, running from one house to another, delivering newspapers just to earn a few small coins for his family? He never once complained about this work. In fact, he loved it. Why? Because selling newspapers gave him a special opportunity. It allowed him to read the news every single day and learn about the big wide world that existed far beyond his small town. Even though his family didn't have much money, Kalam was rich with dreams. From a very young age, he was completely fascinated by the sky. He would look up at the stars at night and watch the birds during the day. He was especially amazed by airplanes. He dreamed of one day becoming a pilot so he could fly high up in the sky, soaring freely like a bird. He didn't know it then, but the journey to achieve that dream would be very, very difficult. At school, Kalam was an incredibly bright student. He studied at a place called Schwartz Higher Secondary School. It was here that he discovered a deep love for 2 subjects, mathematics and science. He loved solving problems and understanding how things worked. However, life was not always fair to him. One day, when he was just a child, something happened that left a deep mark on his heart and his mind. At school, he had a very close friend. This friend was a Brahmin, which in India's old social system was considered a higher caste. Kalam and his friend often sat together on the same bench in the classroom. But one day, a new teacher came to their class. The teacher saw Kalam, a Muslim boy, sitting next to his friend, a Hindu boy. The teacher became angry and insulted Kalam. He told Kalam to get up and move to a seat at the very back of the classroom, all by himself. He was separated from his friend simply because of his religion. This was a deeply painful moment for young Kalam. He felt confused and sad. He could not understand why people would treat others differently just because of their faith. But then, something wonderful happened. His friend went home and told his father what the teacher had done. His friend's father, who was a respected Hindu priest, heard the story and became very angry with the teacher. He went directly to the school and told the teacher, "No child should ever be treated differently because of their religion or their caste. A school is a place for everyone. Education is for all." Because of this brave man, the teacher realized his mistake. He apologized to Kalam and promised to never discriminate against any student again. That moment shaped Kalam's entire life. It taught him a powerful lesson that kindness and knowledge were much more powerful than any religion or social division. Another big challenge for Kalam was that his family did not have electricity at home. They were too poor to afford proper lamps. So every single night he would do his homework and study under the soft, flickering light of a small kerosene lantern. The light was dim, and the room would sometimes fill with a little bit of smoke, but he never gave up. His hunger for knowledge, his desire to learn was much stronger than any difficulty he faced. His teachers at school noticed his incredible hard work and his sharp mind. One of his teachers, Mr. Sivasubramania Iyer, was especially important in his life. He taught science and he always encouraged Kalam to dream big. He saw a special spark in the young boy. One day, Mr. Iyer took Kalam and other students to the seashore. Standing by the ocean, he pointed to the birds flying gracefully in the sky and explained the science of how they fly. He talked about their wings, the wind, and the principles of aerodynamics. That lesson by the sea made young Kalam even more determined. He knew then with absolute certainty that he wanted to study aeronautics and become a scientist of the sky. Even though Kalam was a brilliant student, his family did not have enough money to send him to a big college for higher studies. He knew that if he wanted to achieve his big dreams, he would have to work harder than anyone else. So he continued his routine. He kept selling newspapers in the morning, helping his family whenever he could, and studying late into the night. Life tested him again and again. There were days when he did not have enough food to eat. There were times when he couldn't afford the books he needed for his classes. He had very little support except for his own powerful determination. And yet he never gave up. One thing that always kept him strong was his mother's love and her words. She would often tell him, "If you truly want something in life, you must work for it. God helps those who help themselves." These simple words became the guiding philosophy of his entire life. After finishing school, Kalam knew he wanted to study engineering. He understood that if he ever wanted to work with airplanes, he needed a deep understanding of science and technology. His first big step was to join St. Joseph's College in a city called Tiruchirappalli, where he studied physics. Even in college, he continued to struggle with money. But he wasn't just studying for himself. He had a bigger purpose. He wanted to use his education to help his country, to help his people, and to help every poor child in India who had big dreams but no opportunities. And this was only the beginning of his incredible journey. He knew that studying physics was a good start, but it was not enough. To truly understand flight, he needed to study aeronautics, the science of airplanes and rockets. However, life remained a challenge. His family was still poor, and he had to manage all of his college fees and living expenses on his own. He would often skip meals, choosing to use the little money he had to buy books instead of food. But the hunger for knowledge was always greater than the hunger in his stomach. While many other students might have complained about their difficult studies, Kalam was grateful. He was thankful for every book he could find, for every lesson he learned, and for every opportunity to sit in the library. He would spend hours there reading about airplanes, rockets, and the great scientists who had changed the world. Kalam knew that to achieve his dream, he had to get into one of the best engineering colleges in India, the Madras Institute of Technology, or MIT. But there was a very big problem. The fees to attend this college were very high. His father, a simple boat owner, could not possibly afford it. For a moment, it felt like his dream was over before it could even begin. He felt a deep sense of disappointment. But then, something truly incredible happened. His older sister Zora saw the pain and sadness in his eyes. She understood how much this dream meant to him. Without telling him, she decided to help. She sold her own gold jewelry, her bangles and necklace, to get the money needed for his admission fee. She gave him the money and said, "This is not a sacrifice, my brother. This is an investment in your future. I know that one day you will make all of us very proud." With his sister's incredible support and love, Kalam was finally able to join MIT. He began his studies in aeronautical engineering. This was the first real step towards his lifelong dream. But getting into the college was just the beginning. The real struggle was about to start. Life at MIT was not easy. The students there were the best and brightest from all over the country. The competition was very tough. Kalam knew he had to prove himself. He worked day and night studying harder than ever before. One day, one of his professors, Professor Spondan, gave him a very difficult project. He had to design a small aircraft model, and he had a very short deadline to finish it. The professor told him, "Kalam, if you fail to complete this project on time, you will not get your degree. You will not become an aeronautical engineer." Kalam was shocked and scared. He knew this was a critical test for his future. He worked tirelessly. He forgot about eating. He forgot about sleeping. Day after day, and night after night, he stayed in the workshop, focused completely on the project. Finally, after many long, sleepless nights, he completed the design. When he presented his model to the professor looked at it carefully, paused for a moment, and then a smile appeared on his face. He said, "You have done an excellent job. This is what I call true dedication. Keep it up." For the first time, Kalam felt a deep sense of pride. He felt that he was truly on the right path. But life was not done testing him yet. Kalam's biggest, most personal dream was to become a fighter pilot in the Indian Air Force IAF. After graduating with his engineering degree, he applied for the pilot selection test. He was full of hope and excitement. He prepared with all his energy for the difficult physical and mental tests. When the final results were announced, his heart broke into 1,000 pieces. There were 25 candidates, and only 8 positions were available for pilots. Kalam ranked 9th. He had missed his chance by just one single position. He had failed. This was one of the most painful moments of his entire life. The dream he had held in his heart since he was a little boy. The dream of flying high in the sky was gone forever. For days he felt lost, empty, and broken. He had worked so hard, and still he had failed. He walked aimlessly, asking himself, "Did I make a mistake? Was I not good enough?" But then in that moment of darkness, he remembered something his father had told him a long time ago. His father had said, "When one door closes, another one always opens. If you don't get what you want, it simply means that something even better is waiting for you." And his father was right. Kalam made a decision. He decided that if he could not fly the planes, he would build them instead. Instead of crying over his failure, he chose a new dream. He applied for a job as a scientist at the Defense Research and Development Organization, or DRDO. This was a place where scientists worked on creating new aircraft and technologies to help protect India. His first project at DRDO was to design a hovercraft, which is a special vehicle that can float over land and water. It was a challenging project, but Kalam loved it. He poured all of his energy and passion into the work. At DRDO, he met many great scientists and learned so much from them. But deep inside, he still felt that he wanted to do something more. He wanted to work on rockets and space technology, something that could truly change the world. And then his life took another major turn. In 1969, after working at DRDO for several years, Kalam was selected to join a different organization, the Indian Space Research Organization, or ISRO. This was the biggest turning point in his career. At ISRO, he had the opportunity to work under Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, who is known as the father of India's space program. Dr. Sarabhai saw the great potential in Kalam. He told him, "India needs brilliant minds like you. I believe that one day you will take our country to great heights." Kalam's first major project at ISRO was a massive one. He was asked to lead the team that would build India's very first satellite launch vehicle, the SLV-3. This was a rocket designed to carry a satellite into space. It was a huge responsibility, and many people around the world doubted whether a developing country like India could achieve such a thing. But Kalam was determined. He worked with his team day and night. They solved countless problems, ran thousands of tests, and made sure that every single part of the rocket was absolutely perfect. After years of relentless hard work in the year 1980, India successfully launched its first satellite into space using the SLV-3 rocket. It was a historic moment. Kalam was at the very center of it all. For the first time, India had proven to the world that it could build and launch its own rockets. The young boy from a small town who used to sell newspapers had now become the scientist who helped launch his country into space. After his incredible success at ISRO, Kalam was asked to take on a new, even bigger challenge. He was asked to return to the Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, to lead a new project. His mission was to build India's most powerful missiles. At that time, India was not very strong in its defense technology. Most of its weapons and missiles were bought from other countries. This made India dependent on foreign nations for its own safety. The government knew that for India to be a strong and independent country, it needed its own missile system. In 1982, Abdul Kalam was made the chief of the Integrated Guided Missile Development Program, IGMDP. His goal was to develop a family of missiles that could protect India from any threat. He took on this challenge with his full energy and dedication. He would work for 18 hours a day, barely taking any rest. His team was small and they had limited resources, but his determination was unbreakable. At the same time, other powerful countries were watching. They doubted India's abilities. Some Western nations even refused to sell advanced technology to India because they did not believe that India could develop its own missiles. But Kalam had a different vision. He gathered his team and told them, "We do not need to depend on anyone. We will build our own technology and we will make India proud." And that is exactly what he did. Under his leadership, India developed 5 powerful missiles that made the country one of the strongest in the world in defense technology. These missiles were Prithvi, a missile that travels from one surface to another; Agni, a long-range missile; Trishul, a short-range surface-to-air missile; Akash, a medium-range surface-to-air missile; and Nag, a special missile designed to destroy tanks. Each of these missiles was a huge achievement, but it was not easy. The team failed many times before they finally succeeded. One of the biggest challenges came during the first test of the Agni missile. The entire country was watching and waiting for this important launch, but at the very last moment, a technical problem caused the test to fail. Some people criticized Kalam. The media questioned his leadership. Many even suggested that India should give up on trying to build its own missiles. But Kalam did not lose hope. He stood before his disappointed team and said, "Failure is not the end. It is the first step towards success." They worked even harder. They found the mistakes and fixed them. And on May 22, 1989, India successfully launched the Agni missile. The world was shocked. India had proven itself as a rising military power. For this incredible achievement, he was given the title, the Missile Man of India. But this was just the beginning of his greatness. Many people saw his public achievements, but very few knew about the personal sacrifices he made. At one point, when Kalam was deeply involved in his missile projects, his family had arranged for him to be married. The wedding date was set, and all the preparations had begun. But Kalam was so completely dedicated to his work that he did not even attend his own engagement ceremony. His work was everything to him. He believed that his mission for his country was bigger than his own personal life. In the end, he decided never to marry, dedicating his entire life to India and its progress. Kalam worked tirelessly, sometimes spending days at the lab without proper rest. His team members often said that he would fall asleep right there in his office chair and then wake up after just a few hours to continue his work. He was always the first person to arrive at the lab in the morning and the last one to leave at night. A colleague once asked him, "Sir, don't you ever get tired?" And Kalam replied with a smile, "When you truly love your work, you don't feel tired. You feel alive." His genius was recognized all over the world. Scientists from many countries admired his brilliance and his dedication. One day, he received a very special offer from NASA America's world-famous space agency. They wanted him to join their team. They were ready to give him the highest salary that had ever been offered to an Indian scientist. Most people would have accepted such a famous and well-paying job without a second thought. But Kalam refused the offer. This decision showed everyone that his love for his country, India, was far greater than any amount of money, fame, or personal comfort. One of Kalam's greatest achievements came in 1998 with the Pokhran-2 nuclear tests. At that time, India was not officially recognized as a nuclear power, and many powerful countries were putting pressure on India to stop its nuclear program. But the Indian government under Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee secretly planned to conduct a nuclear test. Dr. Kalam was chosen as the chief scientist to lead this secret mission. The test had to be done in complete secrecy. The United States and other countries were watching India closely with their advanced satellites. Kalam and his team worked underground literally to make sure that no one could detect what they were doing. Finally, on May 11, 1998, India successfully tested 5 nuclear bombs in a place called Pokhran in the deserts of Rajasthan. The world was stunned. In that moment, India had become a nuclear power. When journalists asked the Prime Minister how India managed to do this, he proudly said, "The credit goes to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam and his amazing team." This moment was a major turning point in India's history, and it made Kalam a national hero. In the year 2002, something extraordinary and completely unexpected happened. The Indian government decided that Dr. Abdul Kalam should be the next president of India. This was a surprise to Everyone. Most presidents before him had been politicians, but Kalam was a scientist. He had never been a part of politics, and he had no personal desire for power. Yet the people of India loved him. They had seen his dedication, his honesty, and his beautiful vision for the country's future. So when his name was announced as the candidate for the 11th President of India, millions of people all across the country celebrated with great joy. On July 25, 2002, he officially became the President of India. It was a truly historic moment. The poor boy from Rameswaram, who once sold newspapers to help his family, was now sitting in the highest office in the entire country. Unlike many politicians, Kalam was not interested in power luxury or political games. He was interested in the people. Instead of spending all his time in meetings with other politicians, he traveled across the country. He visited schools and colleges, inspiring young students to dream big and work hard. Wherever he went, thousands of children would gather, excited and eager to hear him speak. He always encouraged them to ask questions, and he answered every single one with great kindness and wisdom. One of his most famous quotes was, "Dream is not that which you see while sleeping. It is something that does not let you sleep." He wanted every child in India to have a big dream just like he did when he was a young boy in Rameswaram. Abdul Kalam was not just a scientist or a president. He was one of the greatest motivational speakers in the world. His speeches were filled with positivity, wisdom, and powerful messages. In one famous speech called "My Vision for India," he said that India should not be happy just being a developing country. It should aim to become a global leader. He always believed in the power of young people. He would tell students, "You are the creators of the future. Never let small failures stop you. Each failure teaches you a lesson. Keep learning, keep growing, and never give up." These powerful words inspired millions of students, and even today, his speeches are watched and shared all over the world. Dr. Kalam received countless awards and honors, both in India and from other countries. He received the Bharat Ratna, which is India's highest civilian award. He also received the King Charles III Medal from the United Kingdom and the Hoover Medal from the United States for his great work for humanity. More than 40 universities around the world gave him honorary doctorate degrees. The entire world respected and admired him. One of the most incredible honors was given to him by the country of Switzerland. On May 26, 2005, Abdul Kalam visited Switzerland. The country was so impressed by his knowledge, his wisdom, and his humble personality that they declared that May 26th would forever be known as Science Day in his honor. Even today, Switzerland celebrates this day in his memory. Even after his time as president was over, Kalam did not stop. He continued to travel to teach and to inspire people. On July 27, 2015, he was invited to give a lecture at a college in a city called Shillong. He stood in front of hundreds of students ready to share his knowledge. He spoke his final words, "Creating a livable planet for humans is my mission." And just moments later, while doing the thing he loved the most, teaching students, he collapsed and passed away. His sudden death sent a wave of shock and sadness across the entire nation and the world. People everywhere mourned his loss. Millions of people attended his funeral. His final resting place in his hometown of Rameswaram has now become a place of respect and remembrance. Even though he is no longer with us, his words and his life continue to inspire millions. He left behind a powerful message for all of us. Believe in yourself because you have the power to change the world. Dream big, and then work hard to make those dreams come true. No dream is impossible. Never stop learning because knowledge is your greatest weapon. And always stay humble. Success means nothing if you are not kind. True happiness, he taught us, comes from making the lives of others better. His life was a beautiful story of struggle, hard work, and greatness. From a poor boy in a small town to the president of a great nation, he proved that nothing is impossible if you have a dream and the courage to chase it. Today, Abdul Kalam is not just a name. He is a symbol of inspiration, dedication, and true greatness. His books like Wings of Fire continue to guide young minds all over the world. His teachings will never be forgotten. His life proves that one single person can truly change the world. So let us honor his memory by following his advice, by dreaming big, working hard, and always trying to make the world a better place. As he once famously said, "Don't take rest after your first victory, because if you fail in the second, more lips are waiting to say that your first victory was just luck." Let's keep moving forward. Let's keep learning. And let's keep inspiring the world. Thank you for listening.